Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our December 15th council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Dr. Hayes?
Here.
Mr. Gottstein?
Here.
Mr. Ball?
Yeah. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of December 1st and special meeting of December 2nd. Any additions or corrections? Not, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes for both meetings.
Support.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball? Mr. Oja?
Yes. Approval manifest 2014-23 in the amount of $382,905.84. Dr. Hayes.
The only comment I had was on the salt for $5,000. Have we ever looked in again at using something different on the roads? Since we know the salt kills trees and rots our cars. And I guess Houghton uses crushed rock, and I know it plugs up the sewers, but I just like to make that comment again that I'd like to see us use something different on the roads.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Lee.
Page 1. Right under mayor, council elections, Beck's Ornamental and Turf. I assume there was a property issue where we had to send them to clean it up. Was that billing kind of late? Because I see, I mean, what would Beck be doing in November? Since the billing just came through.
Yeah, I assume that's a late billing,
Would have been something in September or October?
probably.
Okay. Under the police department, page 2, new shotgun. I see it was a grant, which is fine, but did they need a new gun, or what happened to the old one? I guess that's my question.
When I talked to Jim, he had talked about wanting to get a second one for the other vehicle. That way they don't have to swap equipment as much, and they can just, if they need to just jump in and go, they can jump in and go.
Okay, and do you know who that grant was from? Said,
Rural development.
Oh, rural development, okay.
That was part of the grant we got for the car and equipment.
Oh, with the, okay. Page 5, right on the bottom, television. Municipal Electric Utilities of Wisconsin, MEUWREG training program fees. I see that's on there 3 different times. It's also under electrical and under wastewater for a total of like $4,400. What training is this, Joe? And
This is the OSHA, MyOSHA training that is mandatory. We contract with the MEUW to complete those training courses for all of our employees.
okay, so then, but it's just electrical, TV, and then wastewater. Are the rest of the guys included
There
in
should
this?
be one for DPW too.
Well, I could have missed that then.
Yeah,
Okay.
every department should have it. It's split up equally.
Okay.
And that's was that the once a year fee? Is that a monthly fee?
Quarterly.
It's a quarterly fee.
Quarterly, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Page 6, 20-gallon air compressor, about
The,
halfway down.
Yes, the air compressor in the electrical shop rotted out, the tank rusted out, and we replaced it.
Okay, and Orkin Pest Control, Spider Insect Control, Hydro, is that every month? Do they have to do that winter too?
No, we had, well, the spider control and stuff, yes, they come every month, we have a contract.
Even during
with
the
them,
winter?
Even during the
they-
winter.
Okay, because I suppose
Yep.
you got a little heat in there and they're
There's,
active.
it actually, when the units are running, which they've been running a lot, the temperature is 78 degrees in there, so you get no spider kill from cold. But it helps tremendously. It is a big difference doing that.
Okay, and here's something that I might have missed. Page 9, about halfway down underwater, 60 yards of sand for the 14th Avenue water leak. What was the situation on that?
A service on 14th Avenue, right by the park. separated from the old lead there was still an old lead service or galvanized service that was attached to a newer copper piece they had done quite a few years ago, and that joint separated, and we had to dig it up, and we replaced the whole thing from the main to the house.
Was that a 6 or 8 inch line then?
No, that's only 3/4
Or
inch.
just a 3? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's just a house service.
Oh, okay. And I think that's it.
Okay, George?
Yeah.
Page 1, second number, $1,000 for a property demolition. Is this, could you kind of explain this, Ray? Is this one tax rule?
No, they'll get invoiced first. They'll get invoiced first, and if they don't pay, then that goes on taxes.
Okay. Is there a little bit more to this?
I don't know the details behind the actual infraction. It was, what I understand, Mary, do you remember this? It was either a shed or a garage?
It
That
was a garage.
It was a
that
garage,
ready
yeah.
to fall down. I just wondered why the property owner didn't take care of it herself.
Don't know. What happens is, we give them the letter, then, they have a period of time to work something out, fix it or get rid of it. We ticket them, and if there's no compliance, if there's no communications whatsoever, we try to get them to do what they need to do, and if not, then we'll take it out.
Because I think this is the first time this ever happened, that we've ever been involved in something like this.
No, we've had this done a couple times.
Oh, okay. Never seen it before. On page 2, right below that shotgun there, the new vehicle with new tires, do you have to put new tires on that car?
What Jim did was he purchased a spare set of tires for that vehicle because we had money left in the grant. We were spending, city money was gonna, a certain amount was gonna be spent no matter what. So if we returned any money, it would be returning grant money. So in order to use up the grant money, that's why he went out and went and got the new shotgun and a new set of tires for that car. But we were spending the city's money, the same amount was gonna be spent
I just
regardless.
kind of find it odd that we got a brand new car.
No, it's just a
That's
spare,
what
it's a
the
spare
new
set.
Tires for it.
It's a spare set that's sitting in the shop.
The folks from rural development who run the program, they encourage us, they talk to us on a regular basis throughout the process to, make sure that we take advantage of all of that funding that they're putting forward.
Okay.
So,
No, it's fine, it's just, and then that middle of the next column, the 3 purchases right in the center, a gas purchase for DPW. The top one, Mary, maybe you can explain it. I see evidently the checks are Lefebvre Oil Company, but the top one is WEX Bank.
That's Marathon. That's who they use as their credit card company. That's who we pay, but it's for the Marathon.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought they were all to Lefebvre Oil. I was looking,
No, just
why, no, just one of them is out of the ordinary, okay. Page 3, the last, Terry's fence for the last, on the DEA, and if you notice the first, on the next page, page 4, are exactly the same. Is this kind of a misprint, or?
one is for November and one is for December. We usually pay him that monthly.
You're right, Mary, I'm sorry. Should have known better, eh? Okay. Okay, the $1,259.30, Mary, for Spring Valley Ranch. I'd like to be on record of not supporting that. And page 6, about 8,000, why is that in parentheses? Is that what we paid out so far on these?
No, see the $8,000 credit there?
That's money we got back. So that one actually gained money.
Okay.
We gained $8,000
Yeah.
from selling the power, and
It
overall
says-
for that
yeah.
department, we gained $7,700.
Okay.
That's what that means.
Okay, back over on your side, I seen that, but I couldn't get the connection. And, right on the bottom column, the same page, 6, Kraus, Power Engineering, Joe, what are we engineering on to now? Or what phase,
Well,
or where
we're-
are we going with this?
Yeah, the whole loop automation, if you remember back, it's been quite a few years ago that we decided to build a substation up here at the city, up here in the city, and then build a substation at the hydro, and then take what used to be a continuous loop around the whole city, and anything that happened on that loop, it would knock the whole city out, whether a tree went anywhere. And then we decided that we were going to divide that loop into 4 quadrants and do automatic sectionalizing and stuff for better efficiencies and keep the lights on more. We're at the tail end of all of that engineering, and there's setup that needs to be done in that process, and that's what this bill was for when we installed them. And then Krause had to come to check all the settings and adjust all the equipment, so when there was an event, it wouldn't take out the whole system, it would just take out that piece.
Okay, so this is a continuous of something
Yeah,
that,
it's a project
okay.
that's been ongoing for about 6 years.
Okay, next page, right up on the top, page 7, right up on the top, $2,000, $2,800. ZNR, is that not that big unit that we got down the hydro, the standby unit?
Yes, it is. That got hit by lightning in one of the last lightning storms we had, and the voltage regulator in the generator burned up. So when we ran it, it didn't regulate the voltage, and voltage was up and down and up and down, so that had to get replaced. There's still some ongoing issues with that particular lightning strike. I can tell you that our insurance company has been notified, they're aware of the claim, and as the bills come in over time, then I will be turning all that into the insurance company. But we do have substantial deductible on that, which is $25,000. Don't know if I'll hit that deductible or not with the damage, but I have a problem with the auto throwover switch too. Some of the diodes, I believe, were fried inside the auto throwover switch. That's not functioning properly.
Joe, I mean, believe me, I have no idea what is going on, but my God, doesn't this seem to be odd and unique that we get struck this much by lightning? I mean, it seems like within the last, well, in the last year, right? I mean, my God.
Well, we had 2 large lightning storms where cloud-to-ground lightning was very violent in the area in September and October. And those are the 2 storms. I hadn't had a lightning issue for 4 to 5 years down there before these last 2 storms. It just kind of is a little streaky right now. But, so the reason that you keep seeing it is because it has been a process for me to try to get people in to get this stuff repaired. So it's not like I got everything fixed in a week and all the bills were there, and then, oh, there was a lightning strike. You're hearing about it month after month after month because it's taking me this long to get everything repaired.
Yes, I can understand that, Joe, but it just seems that, my God, doesn't this affect our rates? I mean, as many claims as do we get turning in?
I would say that yes, it would have affected your rates, but we increased the deductible for the hydro to $25,000, so it actually lowered the rate. We did that about
But
2 years
still, I mean,
ago.
all these lightning strikes, I mean, even,
Yeah.
sure,
Well,
we're paying that out of our own pocket now if we reduce the,
true, you're paying it, the electric rates are paying it, correct. But I mean, can't, George, I can't really stop the lightning from hitting the dam.
no, I understand it, but it just, like you said, I mean, my God, from last year, we could.
Yeah, we got
these
two, we
things
got
that
hit,
Keep coming up here.
we got hit twice last year and, or not last year, this past fall. And so that's why you keep seeing them, so.
What, is $3,000 in the next column, Joe, right in the middle of the next column down, what's that all about? Parks and Liquor for, looks like another claim. Brooks Electric.
That's at the golf course, George. I don't know what happened at the golf course. I believe that was also, I really don't, I don't want to answer. I don't know for sure
I think
what
that
it
was
is.
also a lightning strike. And there's one other one about 4 down, George, for just over $1,000 on his computer.
Yeah.
That was for the irrigation computer, correct, Ray? Or do you know? I think there was a lightning strike that, because we've got an ongoing claim with that one also.
There's another one that's marked claim there, so evidently, yes.
Okay. I know that he called us to come and locate some of the underground facilities around where the pond is. That there was a problem with a transformer, dry-type transformer inside that control building right there that operates the irrigation. But that's about the extent of my knowledge of it.
Then on page 9, down on the bottom column, right below that $2,500, that's $720 for a well site claim. There's another one.
And that is another lightning issue. Not only does it affect the hydro, George, but it affects all of the very touchy instrumentation that is at the well site. And it took the computer out there also. We had to get that worked on.
I don't know what the rest of the council's feelings are. I mean, I understand, yeah, I realize, Joe, we're going in the right direction by all this updating and all this computer stuff, but, with all these claims and stuff that we're getting, I mean, how secure are we? Shouldn't there be better ways of isolating this stuff against lightning?
Well, other than putting surge protection on,
What we're doing here now, but I mean, I think it possibly should be looked at. I mean,
I do know the golf course seems to get hit a couple times every year. That irrigation system takes a lightning hit.
yeah.
Maybe it's something they need to look at. What can they do to better ground that, better protect that?
This particular instance that we're talking about on this one with the well site, that actually came in through the cable TV system. We had right in Vulcan, I don't recall the name of the bar that's closed down there now. The house right across the road the pole got hit by lightning, and that's where the main surge came from. So it's very close to, that's where the line taps off, about 6 spans from there to go to the well site and right to the hydro, and that's where it hit. Blew up a couple lightning arresters on that pole. So, as far as just protecting it with surge arrestor, George, I mean, you're as knowledgeable about lightning as I am. I mean, how do you stop it? It hits, it's going to go where it's going to go.
no, I know you can't stop it, Joe. I'm just saying, that
Yeah.
I would think that with all these lightning strikes that are, all these claims, that there would be something better out there to
Well,
overcome it, to stop it, are we digging far enough into it? I mean, I don't know. If I was an insurance company, I think I'd be looking the other
Well-
way. Go apply for insurance with all these claims that we've got.
well, like I said, it's from 2 storms, September and October. And now those are the first lightning claims that I've had in the electric utility. And in the water in quite some time, so.
George, I'm gonna get with Trish when she gets back in the office, and I'm gonna take a look at an update on the claim, because it looks like we have a lot of claims because they're split up between the different departments. It might be just the one activity or two activities.
It's the two events.
It's two events, and so we, even though when one comes up and we put on here claim, it gets filed under the same claim number. So to the insurance company, they have open file, and it's the same event. So it's not like we have 15 different claim events. It's one, and it's just a running total. So, but I want to go in and find out where we're at with it, and then I'll let you know, to show you where we're at with it.
I'm just looking at it
Sure.
as a lot of claims, that we're taking advantage of the insurance company. But like you said, yeah, we got $25,000 deductible, but still, somebody's got to pay for everything. I mean, if I had that many claims, I'd certainly look at finding better ways to protect myself. I mean, maybe there aren't Joe out there. I have no idea, but that's wasting my own opinion, I guess. But that's all I have.
Chris?
Most of them were asked and answered. Back to the page one, though, under the demolition that we did. Is that just the cost for Moran, or do we have service fees that go on top of these?
No, that's
Whether lawn
cost.
cuttings or anything else?
There's no other fees that I'm aware of. That's just the cost to bill to do it.
Do we then add a fee on when we bill the
Oh,
customer?
that's our cost.
Okay.
We add a fee,
That's what I meant.
administration fee when we charge back
Okay,
for handling this.
Is it based
We don't
on-
want to be their
yeah.
contractor.
And it's based on a percentage or is it a flat fee?
No, it's actually in the ordinance. It's 10 or 15%.
I think it's 15.
15% that we add to it.
That's all I had.
Okay, the only one that I had was on page 9, down in water. For that, right at the last thing, that 14th Avenue water leak Bobcat rental, why did we rent equipment? I think this is equipment which we have at least in somewhere within the city.
Oh, the 14th Avenue water repair we did?
Breaking the frost.
Oh, that's right, okay, thank you, George. Dave did tell me about that, I
Yeah, we
forgot
have
about that.
the jack.
Yep, thank you, I forgot about that. Okay, that was my only question.
All right.
With that, I need a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we approve manifest 2014-23 in the amount of $382,905.84.
Motion made,
For my exception, Mary.
motion made by Chris, supported by George. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Godstein,
Yes.
Mr. Ball,
Yes.
Mr. Oja,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini.
Yes.
Does anyone from the audience wish to address the council minutes manifest or agenda item? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Jean Bradford, 2465 Travis Farm Road. I just have a couple comments. The power that we purchased from, was that a total of $48,000? $48,900 and some dollars, is that correct?
What page is that on there?
It's on WPPI, I'm on page 6.
40,000 sounds correct.
That's
Yeah.
the number we purchased.
Yes, that
is
that
how
was the
much-
power we purchased
yep,
from WPP.
That is how much energy that we purchased from WPPI.
And what period did that cover, this manifest? is to-
November. That was
The
for
month of November?
Yes.
Yep.
So like from 1/1 to 11/1 to 11/30?
Yes, it's
Yes.
a 30-day billing cycle.
Okay. Then I have another question regarding Wells Fargo home mortgagement, like a meter deposit refund. What does Wells Fargo have to do with meters? What?
They
I
would have
believe-
taken, they would have repossessed the home.
Yeah, I
And
believe.
so they were the owner, they were the owner of the home because it was repossessed.
Okay, so they put down a deposit when the house is,
They would be getting back the deposit that the original person had put down because they're now the current owner. When we turned on the utilities, they put down the deposit.
right?
So now that it's under Wells Fargo, they're the owner now, so they're getting the deposit back.
Okay, because that was on here a couple of times. And then Norway buys their power, or their gas from LaFave. Does LaFave give you a discount or a rate? Do you have a contract with them, or is it flexible, just like the gas station?
It's just whatever the gas station is, and we buy LaFave and we buy from Ed's Market. We buy from both. That's the Wex Bank, that's what George had asked earlier.
Okay, okay. And
But
then,
no, it's the standard, whatever rate's on the sign, that's what we pay.
okay, because this manifest is really high. And then, how many full-time employees does the city of Norway have? Last time I asked, I thought I was told 26
Full-time,
employees.
I believe it's 26, because, well,
I
26.
heard Jalen, 27 now?
27 and five part-time, permanent part-time.
Okay. And the payroll expense was $81,000 plus the vacation sick pay. How do you compute that vacation sick pay?
It's based on what contract they're under, what union contract. Some contracts allow them to get sick pay, some allow them to get sick and vacation. And then we've also allowed them, from the vacation banks that we had built up, we're trying to get them down before they retire, so we allow them to buy out from the vacation banks.
What that was they have time saved up, so they're able to buy it, and they'll be able to get it as a check at the end of the year for Christmas time.
Okay.
Correct, Mary?
Yes.
And then what about the charge card? I didn't quite understand that. What's that about? Charge card fee for November.
Those are charge card fees that we pay for having people use credit cards here at the office or at the golf course.
And are credit cards issued just to personnel? or-
No.
These are fees,
People that-
if somebody comes and pays their bill or pays their taxes with a credit card,
Right.
we have to pay a fee for them to be allowed to, and we do have a surcharge on there, so we recover most of that fee. But that's the fee we have to pay for somebody to use their credit card.
But we don't accept credit cards for taxes anymore.
Correct.
Just be on their normal utility bill. And then there's a $3 charge on that.
So then this is not an expense this is,
No, this isn't somebody on the city buying something with a credit card.
okay. But it is part of this manifest invoice.
Right, because we have to pay it to a different company. For the ability to let people use a credit card, we have to pay this fee to a different company. And we recover it through our surcharge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on minutes, manifest, or agenda? If not, there'll be a further time for comment on any subject at the end of the meeting. Okay. First thing on the agenda this evening, ordinance 414. An ordinance to amend ordinance 401 to amend the text of the Norway Area Zoning Code, Article 9, Site Plan Review. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Right now, the Planning Commission, Norway Area Planning Commission, is undertaking an effort to go through the zoning ordinance, and there are a number of areas that need updating within the code, specifically due to state legislative changes such as right to farm, the medical marijuana, mining, more specifically gravel pits. We've had some of that, the new legislation, so our zoning ordinance needs to reflect that. There are other areas that we are looking at that, as you go along during the year, you find things here and there within the code that you'd like to either clarify or I think might need some change. One area that came up was under commercial site plan review. Under our current ordinance, the zoning administrator, or when a developer comes in and files for a zoning compliance permit, a building permit, starts with a zoning compliance permit. If it's commercial, it has to go to the Planning Commission for review. And that adds some delay to the project, just because you have to look at the timing and scheduling of the meeting. And we've had in the last year a couple of very simple projects that the owner, the developer, was kind of upset that they had to wait 15 days or an additional amount of time to go to the Planning Commission when it was pretty straightforward. The Planning Commission started asking questions about whether or not, you know, first of all, why are we doing that, and explain that it's within the code, and I don't have the authority to not bring it. I mean, I can't just pass it. And so they asked to look at other communities, and they're actually, Brighton Township and a couple other municipalities have a zoning code that does allow for some administrative review and passage within their text. So they requested that we have language that has some of that similar ability. They also wanted to not wait until the total or final completion of the zoning ordinance review, because that still is probably 6 to 8 months out. They wanted to have this implemented as soon as we're able to come up with the text. So we put together the ordinance. They held their public hearing on November 3rd, I believe, or 5th, and they passed it with some minor comments, and then now it comes to the both boards, the city council and the township board, for approval. The township board did approve the revision, or the ordinance revision, at their last meeting, which was December 8th. So now it's city council can take this up and pass it or comment on it.
Personally, I don't think this is something we should pass. Planning Commission, as it is now, does very little as it is, and very little planning-wise, especially. Site plan review is one of the few planning activities the Planning Commission actually does. This is primarily being driven by one person on the Planning Commission who doesn't want to be there. Just tend to change this. I don't think we should be taking more things off the Planning Commission and putting them on the city manager, when we should be moving more things to the Planning Commission to do. And this is site plan review, this is planning, this is what you do as a Planning Commission. So personally, I don't think we should pass this.
Well, I don't know nothing about it, but I would look at it, I mean, just listening to what Ray explained. I mean, if I'm sitting on the other side of the fence here and I'm waiting for some penny little decision to be made, and I gotta wait 3 months, and I wanna build something or do something, and I'm sitting here, everybody's sitting on their thumb, so to go to the Planning Commission, I think I'd be rather cranky. I mean, I don't know the whole story. And I'm just listening to what you said and listening to Ray said. You know, I mean, that's the way I would look at it, if I was waiting for a decision to be made. And especially, like Ray said, penny-ante stuff that you don't need a whole committee of people there to decide if it, you know, if it should pass or not. I mean, that's my impression of listening to both of these people talk, not knowing nothing about what the argument is here between who.
Will this definitely speed the process up, Ray?
Yeah, there were a couple cases in the last year where it were additions onto the building where, I mean, it was setbacks, parking, everything. It was pretty straightforward. I think that's where some of the complaints came forward, that, you know, I reviewed it in my typical, you know, within a couple days. You know, I want to make sure, like, especially in these types of cases, that Jim, as well as myself, get a chance to go through it, because, you know, I want a second set of eyes to look at it. And, you know, it was pretty straightforward, and the owner was irate that they had to wait until the Planning Commission convened to go through it.
Ray, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What does the rest of the board think about it? How are their feelings?
Well, Chris is on the Planning Commission. I mean, he sat through all the discussions on this.
Well, I think we're not necessarily taking away the planning capabilities of the commission. projects are still gonna come to it, it's just these minor projects where there really wasn't any questions that they met all the requirements, and most of them were small projects. They were additions or things that fell into a fairly easy review that, we would leave up to Ray to make a decision on. So I think major projects are still gonna come to the planning commission.
Besides those, what planning activities has the planning commission done in the last year? Because I've been at most of the meetings and they've done almost none. Almost no.
Well, we've looked at the plans for the Family Dollar, we've gone through those. Any major plans that have come through, we haven't had many major plans though either. I mean,
That's what I'm saying, the planning
I'd say
activities.
in general, we haven't had any come in to the city. I mean, there's been small ones, but nothing that has had to come in front of the planning commission. Besides the reviews that we've been doing on zoning and the master plan that we've been pretty much focusing on. But I think regardless of whether the planning commission is getting these or not, and what their specific role is, my concern would be getting plans that are straightforward and I guess fairly easy for review, get them done and get them off and built and taken care of, and not waiting for a planning commission meeting to come together.
Most of the delay that I've experienced really comes from the petitioner not having information on their set of plans, and I've had to go back and send the plans back or make comments back to get more information. It won't go to the planning commission until we have a set of plans that have all the information. So that's actually one of the biggest delays. On the simple projects, there's really very little information that's required. So it can go pretty quickly. So then the scheduling of the planning commission meeting becomes more of an issue as opposed to, in a bigger projects where we're already into 30-plus days because we're going back and forth. I'm trying to get additional information. Usually it's with an engineering or architectural firm. On the smaller plans, like I said, that, usually within a couple days we nail it out, and then it's, where is it in that month to set up the meeting, with the planning commission. So it just seems to be with the small stuff, it just seems to be magnified in a time frame standpoint. Plus, I think, people come in, we work, diligently with residents on this issue, walk in and, we got a contractor waiting for us and they want the signature right away. We have to do our due diligence and look through the plans or look through the permit, and sometimes you have to send them away and say, look, we have to spend our time, otherwise we're going to miss something. So.
I see also here upon further review, there are other communities such as Brighton Township that have language allowing administrative review on simple projects. Is there anybody besides Brighton Township that?
Well, I don't
does
know
that?
if we
You
did an
don't know.
extensive, that was the one that was thrown in our face.
Oh,
QPAD works at Brighton Township as well.
Yeah.
So they knew what Brighton Township's language was, so they proposed that to us.
Well, one of the owners too, the developers, he also has property in Brighton Township.
oh, so you knew.
He knew and threw that at me right off the bat. And it's like, well, yeah, it's fine, but that's not our language, and I can't just create language in an
You
ordinance.
have to go through the procedure.
Right, exactly.
Well, if it'll speed up the process, I'm all for it.
Any other questions, comments? Doc, anything? Looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that ordinance number 414 be approved and that staff publish as per charter requirements.
Second.
Motion made by Lee, supported by George. Roll call.
Mr. Gotstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
No.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda, approval of Cable TV Department Digital Video Feed Fox UP and WLUC. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I received a quote from Packerland, that was really, I guess it was late October, early November, at least an email and correspondence. They had an opportunity, or they have an opportunity for a direct feed out of Marquette for the HD and SD Fox and NBC stations. Right now, we're currently taking the HD and SD off of a repeater in Segola, I believe. And if you notice, even this past weekend, where it was tiling and we were having all sorts of problems, this particular opportunity is to have that direct feed through Charter, right from the station, and then it would come into Packerland, and then they would transport it to our head end. They've also talked with Iron River and Niagara Tel. I believe Iron River is accepting to do this. I believe Niagara has decided not to, but we wanted to bring this to council before we added this to or did anything on this issue. It is a $500 one-time charge and a $450 per month fee for 60 months. Now, I did talk with Corey about our contract negotiation that we're having. I'm working on updating our contract with them, and he has no problem, or they have no problem rolling this into whatever contract we have. However, they're going to have a contract with Charter, and so there might have to be some discussions with them on how that term would look in dealing with that.
For me, that's the biggest issue I have is the 60-month, because our contract isn't 60 months with them. So this could run beyond, if we go a different direction like we've been talking about doing, this will run beyond what our contract with them.
I think we have a 4-year contract with them. I know we had wanted to get it
We had a
shorter. It
4-year,
was
but I don't know how far we're in.
probably 2 into it, 1 for sure, maybe 2.
2 for sure.
Two for sure, okay.
So I don't see the sense in signing a 5-year contract when we're only contracted with them for 2.
There are, the cost on a 36-month was $550 per month. So those are the 2 options they gave us, not saying that they can't have different options out there for us, but, you know, we need to have this discussion because, I mean, we can do nothing. We can take like we're doing now, you know, taking it off air digital, but we do have the tiling issue, and they do meet the specs. WLUC does meet the specs for quality. So, I mean, we tried that route. You know, it's quality a certain percentage of the time, so, you know, we have no recourse on that.
Like I say, for me, the cost isn't an issue. I don't think that's an outrageous cost to be able to get it without the tiling, but it's the term that I have a problem with.
I have an issue with the whole thing, but that's more of a fundamental issue with off-airs in general. The fact that they now want quadruple of what they wanted in the last 3 years to buy their service that we can't barely get. So now we're paying an absorbent amount just to get their station. Now we're going to pay more to actually receive their station in a viewable format when we've already spent a healthy amount of money on upgrading antennas and equipment to pull this feed in. We just keep spending more and more money, which means our rates, it's not if, are going to have to now go up to cover these costs. I think that doing this direct connection is a good idea for our customers and the quality of the service, but I have a real problem with paying more money for something we should be getting free in the first place, and we should be getting at a higher quality than what we are getting.
I have to agree with Chris on that one.
And not to argue the point, but I'm sure you've had these conversations when we talk about the quality, they're meeting the specs. As ridiculous as it sounds when you're watching a tile, I mean, I don't know what else, they're meeting those specs. So, and, you know, if I talk to, it's not actually TV6, but the actual owner of the stations in general, who we negotiated these contracts with, I mean, they're not getting this money. This is actually going to Packerland, who ultimately is going to Charter. It's not going.
Correct.
Yeah, so I mean, I argued the same thing you did. You know, we're paying you 3 times as much as we did 3 years ago, but they're around and they say we're meeting the specs.
Well, they're meeting the specs, but they're getting more and more money from us and not upgrading their
Right.
equipment so that we can actually hold their signal in at a
Right.
better quality. Not to mention, they're not even giving us the option to get Fox and HD. It's only an SD feed on the off air.
Any other options, Rick?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, it's a direct feed or it's taking it out. Now, I mean, that comment about upgrading equipment, I mean, that's been out there, and, you know, I asked that question, and I don't know, Joe, did you hear any more? Did they were talking about upgrading the equipment, but it just doesn't seem to ever happen?
I can't tell you how many times that Jim Briner has called up there, a lot on his own and per my request, and asked that information. And those conversations we've had with Chris, too, about the digital coming and then off the repeater in Segola into us, and they have no intention of upgrading their equipment beyond what they've already done. So if we want to supply the feed at a quality issue and correct the problems, this is the option at the moment that we have. I agree with Chris 100%. I think it's crazy. But I also think that we're charging customers for something that, quite honestly, is a little hard to watch at times. And this is one way to fix that. It does come at an expense, but I don't think TV6 is going to do us any favors. And I think it's all part of the big master plan when they decided to go digital throughout the whole United States instead of analog. Analog doesn't travel as far as, or travels farther than digital does. We had no problem when we had the analog. But now it went digital, that's the way everything is, and now we have issues, so.
With that 60-month contract rate, you're tacking it onto the existing contract, but our existing contract's shorter. If we go at 60 months and let's say we decide not to continue that other contract, then is this, I guess I'm gonna ask, is this a separate 60-month contract from the one we have? I don't know how they're tying the two together in their different terms.
Well, that's up to us, I think, on tying the two together. You know, it might be cleaner, but it might not be cleaner. And I gave you the price, or we do have a price for 36 months.
But if we only got 2 years left to go,
Right.
can we find out for sure what our time length is left on this and try to get it for that amount of time?
If they didn't want to do a shorter contract, what do you think about, like you do with a cell phone, if you decide to switch service, there's a buyout number?
Well, why can't they just make it two separate contracts?
Well, they might be able to.
That's what
I'm
I'm
just
saying.
throwing another option out there. I'm not saying I'm going to go with it, but just
From
another,
looking
put
at
something
this,
else in the mix.
It looks like it is two different, this is its own standalone
Yeah.
contract.
You could do a 2-year contract, try to get them that. You could do a 3-year contract, which is what that 36-month is. Or say you do a 2-year with, and if you decide not to use them, you owe them so much money for the buyout part of it.
I don't have a problem doing the 60 months as long as it's a separate contract, and if we cancel the other services, that price stays the same, the contract stays the same.
Okay.
Because Packer Land is gonna be the only option to get this feed, whereas the other contract has services that we can buy.
This can be a standalone.
And right now,
This
this
can
is a
be a
standalone.
Right, but I guess my question would be then, if we cancel the other services we have with them,
Yeah.
will this price stay the same?
This is a standalone agreement, so it should stay the same based on this
That's
agreement.
my understanding also. This
Right.
was a standalone agreement because of the agreement that they had to make with the cable provider that's sending it to them.
Okay, because we start
Yeah.
talking about this, mentioned tying it with our existing contract.
Well,
No,
that's.
that was more, that was my concern, I was for the length of time.
Okay.
I wanted it, I didn't want to see it longer than what our current contracts are. That was where my comments came from on that. It wasn't
I'm just
actually.
responding to what he had asked.
So, I mean, Chris's point is if we go with a different provider for some stuff, we're still going to need this signal to come in.
Because we had the same
To
problem.
provide this, yeah.
When we renegotiated last time, and we said, well, we're gonna do this and this, but keep
Yeah.
this, and they're like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Now our price is gonna be triple to get those services, and I don't wanna see that happen here.
I think you're better off as leaving this a standalone contract. And because if we want to provide TV6 and Fox in a digital format that's acceptable to our customers, this is the only way we're going to get it. So,
Is there a clause in there, if, they're trying to combine, have other
Yes.
Will go down?
Yes.
That is correct.
It's in-
The
it's in
more
the
that
pricing
take it,
notes.
it goes down.
Oh, yeah, it's on the pricing notes. In the event we can get other providers to take this
Oh,
fee,
okay.
we will adjust the pricing.
But they don't say what.
Right now, it's a split between two, so if there was three, it would be a three-way split of the cost.
The total cost.
At least that's how I read what it's, what we've got. That's how I understand it.
That's a,
We could get rid of Channel 3. You only work 5 days a week.
Any other questions, comments? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion. Is there any motion? Okay, there's no motion. Is there
I'll
any?
make a motion, we approve parking land for the Fox SDHD NBC feeds for 500 down, 450 per month on a 60-month standalone contract.
I'll support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Ball?
No.
Mr. Oja?
No.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
No.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll continue to get it off the antenna.
okay.
Next on the agenda, approval, city attorney contract. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you all are aware, at the end of November, we did receive 3 proposals for providing legal services for the city of Norway. Those 3 proposals were from Mao and Solello with Grant Carlson as lead attorney, Stephen Tinty, and Peter Ryan. Over the last 30 days or 20 days, you've had an opportunity to review the proposals, and we did discuss the proposals at our special meeting. What I wanted to do tonight was move forward, or try to see if council was ready to move forward with getting our legal services agreement established. And I had 2, based on my conversations with council over the last 20 days, I have 2 options, or a couple of requests for options. The first is that in talking with Mr. Tinty's office, with his background in certain specific areas, most notably with the rural development projects, we are in need of finalizing an attorney or contracting an attorney to handle our water and sewer RD projects. I am recommending that we contract with Mr. Tinty. We have a specified amount in our contracts or in our PERs that we have with rural development. I believe it is, I just looked those up a couple days ago. I think it's $10,000 for phase 1 of the water, $20,000 in phase 1 of the sewer, and only like $2,000 in phase 2 of the sewer. I think the total for the whole project is somewhere in the range of $30,000 budgeted. That doesn't mean it's on a per hour basis, but some of the specific areas, and the reason that it's budgeted at that level is because of potential easements. We have to have all of our land easements, land deeds established before we can move forward with the project. Even though we had a major project in 78 in sewer and more recently in water, rural development is getting more specific with what kind of legal documents are required for these easements. We're believing that we're not going to utilize that full budget because we're finding a number of documents that we have in our files. So we're doing a lot of work right now so that we limit that. So anyway, Mr. Tinty is very familiar with the RD program, and I think that from efficiency standpoint, I think that he would represent us quite well for that. I'm also recommending that based on this conversations, that our legal representation for most of our other municipal work be handled by Mao and Solello, with Grant Carlson as our lead attorney. Again, I've had numerous conversations with Mr. Carlson, and situations like I mentioned with the RD project, some of the specific land work where the other firms have more specified or specific talent background, then I think that they're comfortable in having the city receive that kind of alternative service. So that is my recommendation, and I'm open for discussion at this point.
What about the contract we had signed with Peter Ryan for the RD project?
See, what we have with Peter Ryan is that we're sharing those costs with Norway Township for a very specific contract. That's that sewer authority issue, and that ends when that is negotiated. I have a meeting tomorrow afternoon with the township board to go down and review that contract. So, yeah, that's for that specific contract that I needed to move that process forward. That's why I asked for Peter. And I'll tell you, I feel fortunate, like I mentioned in my memo, 3 very good firms, very good people, individuals, lawyers that would be very capable of handling our legal services. So we're very fortunate to have, the length of talent and experience close by.
Well, I'm glad we got 3 offers. They're all good, they all have their strong points, but I'll go along with this specifically, Ray, because of Mr. Tinty doing our R&D work. He's, I don't want to say famous, but when it comes to land work, right-of-ways, purchasing property, he's, from what I understand, the best out there. And I love his commitment to the community. He bought a house in town. He's going to make an office out of it, which would have been an empty building. And he even put a float in the Santa Claus parade Friday night. And that showed me a 100% commitment to the community, and that really liked me. I like that.
Any other questions, comments? I think this looks, to me, this looks
I
good.
read them all clear over, and believe me, I'm not a lawyer, but, and far from it. But I mentioned to Ray here when we, a couple of weeks ago, when we did talk about it, that the way it ended up, I think we got the best of both worlds there. We got very good, if you were, council was very satisfied with Grant, what he's doing for us. The same, I agree with Lee on Mr. Tinty's work. He comes with a real good reputation on property deals. So I'm glad that, I'm glad that we're able to work with both the law firms and have both working for us. So I'm very pleased with it.
Any other questions or comments, or I'm looking for a motion?
Did we ever decide or get an answer as to whether if we didn't use the lawyer for the amount specified for a particular month, can we carry that over to the next month?
Yes, that's, all 3 attorneys would have that kind of arrangement. I think what we're going to find, though, is as we move along, it's going to feel and look a lot like a per hour setup. I think what we had with Jay was somewhat unusual. It worked for both parties, but I think that as we move forward, especially, we're very young in a relationship. We're going to see those itemized bills anyway. So what I'm recommending tonight is to get an approval to move forward with Mr. Tinty on that RD work, and then also to move forward with Mao and Slow to finalize a contract to come back to council. So the billing, the fees, you know, we have it in the proposal, but to iron out those specific, you know, details that you're asking. So, I mean, you know, Rand's here, I mean, if you want to ask him that specifically, but I mean, that's what we talked about doing.
Would there be any problem, Ray? I mean, do you want more time, or would there be any problem with finalizing both of these contracts tonight?
Well, I want the contract with Mao and Slow to come back so that you can see the detail. See, the contract with Mr. Tinty and rural development is already, it's a standard contract from rural development. So it basically has $160 per hour to a maximum, which is what our budget is. And so it's very specific. So you can approve that tonight, and then we'll come back later. You know, I've already talked to Grant about taking the next 2.5 weeks to iron something out and bring back to you.
Yeah, any other questions or comments? Otherwise, motion.
I'll make a motion that Mr. Stephen J. Tinty be approved to lead council and represent the city of Norway for the USDA RD water and sewer projects for a per hour rate of $160 per hour.
Would you include that and the manager to proceed with finalizing the contract?
And the manager to proceed with finalizing the contract with Mao and Salal.
Thank you.
Second?
Motion made by Lee, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Godstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
I'm gonna mistake because I'm relative to Mr. Kennedy. Maybe you might wanna check on that.
I'm not related to him. He's related to my wife.
Final thing on the agenda, the approval, CoreLogic, request for City of Norway GIS parcel data. Mr. Anderson.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this last item, it's kind of an interesting request. I gave you an email train that started, you go back to, a couple months ago, where Jim Wiseman started receiving some emails from this CoreLogic concerning our GIS data. Just to give you a little background, we looked up CoreLogic. They're a national firm that handles property data information. They buy GIS data typically from counties, because typically counties are the ones that handle all the municipal property information, ownership information. And they compile this. If you go and type in CoreLogic, Google it, you'll see how many areas across the country they have this information. And the whole sole reason for their being is that what they do is they sell this information to large contractors doing utility work, cross state lines, cross counties. So if you're a pipe contractor, electrical contractor, you know, putting up lengths of wire, you go to CoreLogic to find out who all the property owners are within a certain area of your work, as opposed to having to go to each individual municipality. So one of the things we did early on is I had Jim go back to him and say, well, we're not giving it to you. How much would you spend on this? And they indicated that they spend roughly $10,000 per county for this information. We did a little, you know, we just basically did a little bit of math. There's 10 units within Dickinson County, so we thought that, you know, $1,000 would be reasonable. They were okay with $1,000. And then the other part of this, which is actually more intriguing, is that they will buy on an annual basis the updates. So this is an annual fee that they will pay the city of Norway for this information. Since Jim also handles Waseda and West Branch, he's put out the same request to their boards. They are moving on this. So I wanted the council to hopefully approve us moving forward to sell the information on an annual basis, basically. You know, we'll start getting a payback on having this GIS data.
I guess my concern, Ray, kind of looking through the reading a little bit, once we set that price, it stuck from then on till eternity here, or?
No, there's not a, right now, from what I understand, there's not a contract. So what we would do is, you know, you set the initial price, and then we have the updates. If, for whatever reason, we feel the pricing needs to go up, then we can, on an annual basis, we can request that to go up. Just also keep in mind, because I'm sure people get a little nervous because this is property ownership information. This is all freedom of information. So if they came to us and said, we want to fill out you know, they filled out the FOIA for each individual municipality, I mean, this is public information. This is not anything that's not public. And all it is really, you know, property ownership. There's no other real data in that, so.
I just wanted to make sure that once the price was set, that we were stuck on that forever.
Right.
That it could be, I didn't like, I thought I seen in here where it was a contract, they wanted a 3 or 5 year contract or something.
I didn't see any term. Did you see a term?
I
Anybody else?
come across it in here someplace. But that was my concern. I didn't want to be stuck on something that was not negotiable at the end of the year or whatever.
Well, from what I've been talking with Jim, we have done a lot of the throwing information out. Like, you know, they gave us the $10,000 figure. We came back with the $1,000 figure. So I think this company has been very open, you know, to those discussions.
Yes, I agree with you, because
Yeah.
it seemed like they come up with prices a lot higher than what we were asking here on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, they haven't been pushy at all. They just,
Right.
Um,
I thought they were real fair.
With this, there is gonna be some cost in Jim's time. Is this gonna more than cover whatever cost we would have to get the information?
based on my conversations with him, he thinks that this is a good deal for the city and that it'll cover whatever he's doing. I don't think it's a matter of downloading the information he already has. I mean, he's putting the information in, so it's just a matter of uploading it.
I just wanted to make sure we're covering our cost.
Yeah.
Any questions, comments?
And the $1,000 will go into the general fund to cover our GIS system.
Yeah, it basically would cover costs of us having that system.
Any other questions or comments? Not, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that CoreLogic be allowed to purchase the GIS property information for a price of $1,000 the first year, and then $750 per year for updates.
Second.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gotstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Does anyone from the audience wish to address the council on the minutes, or on any item? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
My name's Barb Thorne, 626 Iron Street in Norway. I just wanted to ask you guys, I had written a letter and another committee member from the Leif Erikson Day, and I haven't had any kind of response, and maybe it wasn't the way to go about trying to...
I sent you a card last week.
Oh. Carol or I?
No, I sent it to you.
Okay, I didn't receive anything, so I hadn't heard anything, and I didn't know, if it had been brought up, or if you guys were aware. The reason we wrote the letter is because we wanted to make sure that, you were aware of the problems we had, and, I hadn't, heard anything, so
We all got a copy of that in our packet.
I don't know. I mean, I hope it got out. It's not on someone's desk, but
okay.
I did write that up last week.
Okay. So, just not having heard, I will read this later, but, we didn't, it's hard to know if the Leif Erikson Day has any value to you, if, like, you guys, place like, is it for a community event, if you place value in it, or, you know, because after, you know, what happened with that, it just, you wonder, you know, if other people in the community feel as strongly as we do. I mean, we all just want to put on a good event for the town and bring attention to our town, and it was just really discouraging. I know it wasn't intentional, but, you know, this is the first I've heard of any apology or anything, so I just wanted to.
Did Carol tell you that I apologized to her on the phone when she called me Friday night and Saturday morning?
She said that, I can't remember exactly what her words were, but, I mean, it wasn't just her
Right.
that was involved with all the problems. It was pretty much the whole committee, so.
But I mean, I did try to, you know, when I got called Friday night, you know, I sent a message out for the guys, for Dave, and then on Saturday morning, again, I called and we got some, you know, our electric crew down there, but I did tell her on the phone, you know, I did apologize at that point.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
in
I
both
appreciate that.
cases, yeah, I mean,
But, yeah, I mean, it was, at this point, I just would like just some feedback from, you know, it had, you know, it's hard to just keep doing the event and then just like not ever hear anything. So, it just, not that we need any accolades or anything, just that there should be some kind of, I know, I suppose we should, like, you know, take a tour of everything that went on and present it to you guys, or, I was wondering if maybe we could have somebody, like, assigned to come to our meetings from the city, so the city is more aware of what's going on. So, I just wanted to, I guess, know that you had received it and try to, I don't know.
We all received the letter that was
Okay.
sent out.
All right.
And we all appreciate, I think, how much the committee does to put on the event, and I think it's one of the great events that the city of Norway does have, and I hope we can clear up our miscommunications. It sounds like that was the problem somewhere along the line.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Jean Bradford, 2465 Travis Farm Road. I just have a comment from our last meeting where we had the discussion about when we come up with a project, how we need to follow it from A to the end of it, A to Z. Fill in all the blanks in the meantime. You know, when we started our Strawberry Lake project, if we would have gone with the forester, we're cutting these trees, okay, they're diseased, whatever, safety, cut the trees, include the stumpage removal, all in the first phase of it, and be done with it versus paying a contractor and then another contractor. And I think tonight's meeting is a perfect example of like this cable television thing that we were just discussing. We get parts of it. We don't get the whole picture. We don't know how long our contract is. How much is it going to cost? We can't move quickly on some of these major decisions. The cable television in the city of Norway has increased, and the service has not really improved that much. And like this invoice, we spent $44,000 some dollars, almost $45,000. And our television, like several channels, are out frequently. And I just think that when we do a new project, we need to get more thought, more information before we make a decision. And do you agree? You don't agree?
I'll make a comment on the cable system and the channels being out. A lot of that's not the city's fault. That's coming from the programmers. And it happens a lot. And there's nothing the city can do to fix some of those problems. It's sometimes they have to wait until they clear themselves up and things come back on. And I think our city cable system has done a pretty good job of keeping up with the technology, and we're in the process of talking about a plan with the cable system to keep things moving forward in a planned process, going forward. So that's one of the comment on that part of it.
So you're happy with the cable television in this city?
I'm happy with it. I subscribe to it and I watch it, and being in the cable industry, I understand the difficulties that are in the system and the problems that come up, and sometimes there's not a fix to it. And when you're dealing with, I'm assuming the channels you're talking about, some of the off-air channels,
Right?
I can tell you right now, there are atmospheric conditions going on that have wiped out almost every one of my off-air channels in Niagara. And there's nothing I can do about it. I can't climb into the atmosphere and move the ions around to make it happen. It's just the way it is. There's things like that we can't control. We don't have a direct line to get these stations, as we talked about tonight with that fiber link, that would eliminate these problems, because we have a direct physical connection to the station to get these feeds, because pulling it off an antenna isn't always reliable.
So do you feel then that spending additional monies for this proposal tonight, I mean, even though it got voted down, you're in favor of that?
I'm in favor of the connection. I have a fundamental problem with spending the money just due to the fact of how much the station charges us to get their content. If you remember back 5 years ago, Channel 6, Channel 5, all the off-air stations, they were free. If you put up an antenna on your house,
Right.
you get that channel and you can watch it at no cost. Those costs now are more expensive than what our cable channels, our pay cable channels cost us to get. And they're not going up in small increments. We're talking 300, 400% increases in costs, and we're not getting any better service. So when you talk about our rates going up and you're not seeing better service, well, their rates are going up and we're getting sometimes worse service. And basically we just have to pass on the service that we're getting from them. There's not much we can do to fix that. And that's why I have a problem with just the fundamentals of paying for something that we should either be getting for free or getting a higher quality for. I think we should do the line because that would increase the stability of the system.
Well, has anybody taken any action, written any letters, any kind of contact, any complaints, any?
Showing the list of every small cable system in the United States that doesn't like this. It's in front of Congress, it's going through committees.
I've actually been in front of our legislators in Washington, D.C. I talked to them about it. There's no movement.
Does Charter have that same problem in Iron Mountain?
They have a direct feed.
Charter has a cable going directly into TV6's studio.
They're big enough, they can afford to build the fiber to have a direct feed from the station.
That's where we were going to tap into, Gene, to get the system off of Charter's network. So Charter is going to charge us to bring the feed in so we can supply it to our customers without any issues.
And we'd still have to continue with that original contract. We couldn't just go off Charter, period.
No.
Could we pull this off of Charter?
We don't have a feed, we don't have a feed into Charter.
why
Packerland does have Packerland is making the agreement with Charter to get it to them so they can resell it.
Joe, is that, these last two connections that you just made here last month
Yes,
throughout the city here?
yes,
Does that have anything to do with it?
yes. That has a lot to do with it.
Within the two
I-
connections that we had?
I put that in place to open up more broadband and fiber to the head end so we could start taking advantage of some of the things that are coming down the pipe to make our service better. But clearly that's not what you guys wanted to do, so.
Well, I thank you for that. We all have to work together, and I mean,
Gene, I agree with you 100%. You know, I kind of understand both sides of the story. Our service, our reception out there is days, they work 5 days a week. The Saturday and Sunday are not even on the air. I mean, and you're paying for prescriptions like that. Now Channel 6 went out over the weekend in the
Yes.
middle of a football game or something.
And that is because of the repeater that we get the signal off of in Segola. Whenever we have heavy weather, like fog, a lot of moisture in the air, we lose that signal. There's nothing we can do about it, except for what we proposed. That would fix the problem.
So, I agree, and I can see and understand both sides of the story. The city is costing us all the money trying to stay up with our system, but you can only do
Okay.
what you can do, I guess.
And then I have a final question about this core logistics. How is that going to benefit our citizens?
It brings money in. They're paying us $1,000 and $750 a year.
And that'll just go into a general fund?
Yeah, that'll go into the general fund. And then this, like I said, like Ray was saying, this data will be, they'll sell it to the bigger contractors, or they'll use it with the bigger contractors who want to come in and do the big, like the ATC project. They're the kind of people who would look for this data from them. But the benefit to the city is the money. We're getting paid for it.
And then you have 100% understanding of it's not a contract,
Sure.
or it is a contract?
It's not a contract. There's no contract signed. It's the $1,000 initial, and then next year, when it comes time to update, if we think 750 is not enough, we can negotiate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the audience? So, Chris,
Only comment I had was status update on our brand-new website launch.
I'm hoping at the end of the month.
Is there a reason that we had a 2-month delay on it?
We are required to put the information into the computer, or into the website, so we just have limited staff time to get that information in. I don't want to put something out there that doesn't have what we call populating, so we want to.
Okay.
So with Christmas coming up, some of the workloads, we talked earlier today, that we might be able to, we're hopefully going to try and get that done by the end of the month.
anything else?
That's all.
George?
Ray, I just seen on TV here within the last week that the state of Michigan, I don't know if they issued another list on the sending out money for the problems that some of these cities and counties had in the last winter. Have you heard any more on that? Or?
Oh, yeah. I was in the car coming back from my meeting down in Lansing, and when I left Lansing, there was no new news on we actually have a separate claim into the state, mostly driven by our exclusion from that whole freeze grant situation, the first round. And so I was asking that question. They didn't have any information, but during the time that I left Lansing, I guess the governor made a declaration, or they passed the 2.7 million. That was going to the same first round recipients, and it's because, on Friday then of last week, I contacted Pete up at the county, because he's really the one that's responsible for managing this for us. And he explained to me that where the governor is taking this pot of money is, this is state money. What we're looking at is a new allocation coming through the MEDC, similar to what the first round of monies came from. So they already had this organized, that they had the first round, which was the MEDC money, which is community block grant money, federal money, and then the state money was to augment that first round. So we're going to be in the second round, is from what I'm being told.
No promises.
Well, no promises, but like I said, we made a lot of angry statements, in the whole process in the first place. So I think we got our message across on how we got gut kicked, is the term I use.
I mean, because, you know, that's what happened. And what we have to do is we have to wait until now they're going to finish the lame duck this week. They're probably going to be out of there Thursday or Friday this week. They don't come back to Lansing until middle of January to start the new session. So that's probably when this is going to get kicked up again, is middle to end of January. So.
I see we made the TV again tonight there, that we got another grant. And this is one of the things that I mentioned at our last meeting. We got turned down on one and we received one. The one we got turned down in is for Strawberry Lake. So my emphasis on last meeting was, you know, here we're sitting with a project half done again and going no place again. And we got approved for one for the tennis court out there. I just hope that we start or finish some of these other projects before we get involved in this tennis court deal. Because otherwise that's going to be another one of these hassles that's going to sit out there half done again. At least we got something to play on now. Might have a few holes in it, but we got something.
Well, and that's where, with the tennis court, this is for the second two courts. So we've already got the grant last year or year before for the first two. So we held off starting, but we held off starting that project. So we didn't just go two and then come back and do two more. Now we're gonna be able to do all four at once.
Okay, how much of it is kind money and everything else, Jeremy?
I don't know the numbers
Okay,
off the top
that's
of
what
my
I
head.
mean.
You're on Parks and Rec, you tell me how much the numbers are. They're the ones who have looked at the grant off the top of your head.
I had very little to do with it. Nothing to do with it, to be truthful with you, because I'm not in favor of it from day one.
Anything else?
Nope.
Dr. Hayes?
Well, I'd like to say once again, I'm thankful to Barb and all the volunteers that are in the city. And I hope we can get some better coordination with the city in the future to get some of these things ironed out ahead of time. And I don't know, is there somebody in the city that could be in charge of coordination of these things, or is there somebody?
We have that in place, Doc. We have a new employee that wasn't used to, you know, it was the first year that we had the project or the festival. It was their first time. They weren't used to, you know, what we went through.
Okay.
And so, I mean, it's not going to happen again.
Okay.
We said that before. We apologize. I apologize profusely. I mean, you know, we're as frustrated. I'm as frustrated as anybody because I don't like getting a call at Friday night at 11 o'clock. I don't like getting calls on Saturday morning at 7 o'clock. You know, we work hard we do work hard at trying to accommodate everything, and they do such a fantastic job at the committee. That's a lot of work. I mean, I know when we redid that little portion here just to keep it going, I was ecstatic when Barb said that she would step up and the committee would step up. So, you know, we're frustrated as well. And, you know, we pass that along. I'm not going to reveal all the conversations within staff. I just don't think it's appropriate. But, like I said, it will not happen again.
And I'd like to make a comment. Someone tonight said that the Planning Commission doesn't really do any planning, and that was my opinion when I was on there. It seemed like they were more of a thumbs up or thumbs down on any project, and there's really no planning going on. And I made a comment in the past, I'd like to see some emphasis on planning with our DDA and with the Planning Commission on increasing the tourism industry in our area. I think we've got a lot of great potential here. And I think we need some forward thinking of some planning involved in going forth with projects rather than just waiting for someone to do something. That's the only comment I have tonight.
Just like to mention, we got another little grant in there from Plum Creek for $2,000 for trees, which is nice. I believe how many years in a row now we've got that little bit from them.
Well, we kind of alternate that one with the DNR. So
Okay.
we give them a break.
Give them a break, okay. And the only other thing is I'd like to wish everybody a very happy and joyous Christmas.
agree with you.
I'm not gonna get in trouble for saying Merry Christmas, am I? This day and age, you never know.
I just said it.
Twice.
Okay, I'd like to thank everyone involved. From what I've heard, the Santa Parade and fireworks and all that went off really well, and everybody enjoyed it. For a little event, everything went well, and a fun time was had by the kids. And I'd also like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and that's my only comments. Joe?
Just for an FYI for the city council, just want to let everybody know, because I've let you know in the past, when we had some sales of some renewable energy credits at the hydro. There's been a lot of talk tonight about spending money and different things, and this doesn't show up on the manifest because it's something that I work with, a broker with. But last week, we were able to move a lot of our renewable energy credits that were going to expire in about 6 months from now. And so we had a nice little influx of income through the sale of those renewable energy credits to the tune of $26,800. So just want to let you guys know that we did sell some RECs.
Water-wise, we must be doing good generation, no?
Yeah, we're doing real nice. That's why,
Everybody hates this weather, but it's
yeah,
helping our
there's a
water.
bonus, and that's low electric bills from WPPI, which, as Gene had pointed out, that's a $48,000 bill. And this time of year, normally, our WPPI purchase power would be in the range of about $140,000. So a savings of about $100,000 because of what the hydro is doing.
Anything else, Joe?
No, that's all.
Joe, out of curiosity, we haven't had any glitches on the Unit 1. Any? I mean,
I'm trying to understand what you're asking me, George. I didn't get it.
I mean, they're running real exceptionally well, Unit 1.
Correct, yes.
You get them checked every year now, like kind of was in the plan?
I was planning on doing an inspection this fall, but I was not happy with the price that the contractor gave me. So we dewatered it. We did a quick inspection ourselves without taking actual clearances on the bearings. Checked the oil levels and checked the Babbitts and different things, and changed some pumps down in the pits. And then we fired it right back up and started running because water was coming.
Okay. Do we have anything in writing for a guarantee, anything from Kaiser?
It was a 1 year. It's
1 year, that's all it was?
That's it. It's over. Yeah.
Great.
2 and 3 running good too?
Number 2 is actually has been running for quite a while, running 2 units. 3 and 4 are not operating at the moment because we don't have enough water,
Okay.
but they are operational. Over time, there will be some issues we have to address with unit number 3. There's some mechanical things. It runs. It could be better than what it is, but it runs.
2 you're happy with? Because I don't.
Yes,
think we ever-
I'm very happy with 2.
Okay,
2 is a great producer. It's identical to 1.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. And that's why obviously there is more water in the river, but because we did what we did is why you're seeing some of these lower bills, because we're making more electricity with the water that we have because of the new turbines.
Okay.
I'd just briefly like to thank everybody for the chance to work with all of you over the last few months. It's been a great opportunity. I've really enjoyed working with all of you. I've known a lot of you for some time, and the experience has been great, and I really look forward to having the chance to work with all of you into the future. And I wish you all a Merry Christmas, and hope you guys have a Happy New Year as well.
Thank you. Ray?
I kind of said what I was thinking of saying for the Leif Erikson Committee. I mean, again, I know how hard they work, and I know how hard it is to put something on as big as that festival, and it's very important for the city. I apologize, I don't go to the committee meetings. I can't sit on every committee. I just don't have that kind of time. If we could get somebody to do that, that would be great. We need volunteers though, because I know from firsthand experience, and I can tell, I mean, your group probably has now been together 3 years, you know, putting this together. It's grinding. I mean, they're, I don't know when your next meeting is, but I think you're gonna meet pretty soon probably to go back through what happened and what we do for next year. So, I mean, it's a year-long effort, and so I don't think that everybody sees that. I do, and I do appreciate it. Again, we apologize. We are, you know, we're gonna do what we can internally to make sure that doesn't happen again. But again, my call is for volunteers to come out and help with any of these events, whether it's the, you know, definitely Leif Erikson, but the 4th of July, you know, other events for our community, because it really makes our community. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Ray, have you had much interest on the Centennial,
No,
you know, people?
no. I mean, I've been asking around, see if anybody wants to sit on the board. We do have enough to move forward. It
Okay.
would be nice to have a few more members. And we did get a date that Dr. Hayes had asked. It was April of 1891, April what, 7th?
April 17th, you said it.
April 17th, yes. We got that from the museum, so that's your city museum, the Jake Museum, you know, they have the information, so.
And so the committee is gonna work on the actual celebration, and it probably won't be April 17th?
I don't think you want to have it on April 17th,
no.
but I'm thinking around the 4th of July, somewhere in that area. Usually it's a week or two before, or a week or two after, somewhere in that area. But we're going to have to get together. I've been talking with Grant about the legal side of some of the, you know, we're going to have to set up either a 501c3 or however we're going to set that up. So trying to work on the front end. But again, we're looking for people to help, because that's a big event. That's a real big event. So outside of that, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Okay, need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support?
Motion made by Chris, supported by George. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Godstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.